and gentlemen, and welcome to LouTube. Today is the 10th day of Vita, and if you have a look on my calendar, it says that it's Science Week. What is Science Week, some of you might be asking? Well, Science Week is a program that's implemented in schools here in Australia to try and encourage kids to pursue careers in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. What I thought I would do to celebrate the start of Science Week is do a little bit of an experiment myself. This experiment has a little bit of a backstory. See, back in 2000 and when I was 16 years old, I was given an assignment, and that assignment was to come up with your own experiment, conduct it, collect data, and report on that data. Did I do this assignment? Not very well, ladies and gentlemen, let's put it that way. My relationship with school is very difficult, and I don't have time to go into it, but let's just say it wasn't great, and assignments sucked, and I didn't really put a lot of effort into them. But I thought, you know, I'm older, I'm wiser now, I could probably sit down and run this experiment. Like, honestly, how long is it gonna take? The experiment I had in my mind would actually, you know, take quite a lot of time and effort and, you know, a lot of researching. But like, let's just pretend that I'm 15 years old, okay? You know, I've got the youthful skin, it could happen. And I'm trying to come up with this experiment. I bet you want to know, Louise, what is your experiment about? Well, my experiment is about the effect of music on studying. You see, when I was 15 years old, I was very interested to know whether if listening to music would be conducive to studying or whether it would be deleterious to studying, and if it was conducive to studying, what type of genre would be best to listen to while studying. Why this was something that I was interested in, I have no idea, but it was what I wanted to do for the experiment, which never really got done properly. How am I going to run this experiment, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I have chosen 4 genres: rock and roll, classical, pop, jazz. And then, of course, I have control, which is no music whatsoever. I have a list of 10 words which are randomly generated. I need to try and memorize these 10 words within a time frame of 2 minutes, listening to a particular genre of music. At the end of those 2 minutes, I'm given like a 5-second break, and then there's a 30-second quiz where I have to write down as many words as possible that I can remember from that list I was just trying to memorize. Based off the amount of words I recall, I can hopefully come up with some sort of idea or some sort of data that will represent which type of music is best to listen to, if any at all. So I've done the experiment, I've sat down, I've listened to the music, I've memorized the words, I've done the 30-second quiz, and the data is in, ladies and gentlemen. So let's have a look at the results. When listening to rock music, I was able to recall 8 out of 10 words correctly, and the amount of words that I wrote down was 8 words. So that's a pretty good score. When listening to classical music, I was able to get 6 out of 10 words correct, out of a total of 7 words written down. So I got one that was wrong. It was actually, I believe, in the list beforehand. Moving on to listening to pop music, I again was able to get a 6 out of 10, and I wrote down a total of 6 words. The final genre was jazz. In the quiz, I was able to recall 6 out of 10 words, and the total number of words that I wrote down were 7 words. The 7th word that I wrote down again was from another previous list. For the control, that is listening to no music, I was able to get a 5 out of 10, 5 words correct, out of the 10 words on the list, and unfortunately I wrote down 8 words, so that isn't really a fantastic result. 2 of the words I wrote down came from previous lists, and one of the words was a word that sounded like one of the words that was in the list but wasn't actually in the list. Does that make sense? I also did some subjective measures, so I asked myself on a scale of 0 to 10 how well I thought I performed in that quiz, and I also asked myself how well I thought I concentrated during the study period time. For quiz 1, I thought I performed quite well, so I gave myself a score of 8 out of 10. For quiz 2 and 3, I gave myself a 5 out of 10. Quiz 4, I gave myself a 6 out of 10, and for quiz 5, even though I wasn't able to recall that many words correctly, I gave myself a 7 out of 10, because I feel like I was able to write down way more words than the previous tests. In terms of concentration, I felt it was pretty good listening to the rock and roll music, so I gave myself a 7 out of 10. In terms of listening to the classical music, I thought that my concentration was quite poor, so I rated that very low with a 4 out of 10. For pop music, it wasn't as bad as listening to classical music, but I did find it very distracting, so I gave myself a 5 out of 10. And for listening to jazz music and no music, I gave myself about the same score, which was a 6 out of 10. So actually, if we go ahead and we look at the results, we can see that actually listening to no music at all was where I performed the worst, and listening to rock music was where I performed the best. But does this mean that listening to rock music is better than listening to no music? Well, I'm not sure. Even though the data suggests that listening to rock music is better than listening to no music at all, there are some reasons why I could have gotten that result. The first is, I listened to rock music first, and I did that quiz first. It could be that the order at which I listened to the music had an effect on how well I performed. I also just did the tests straight after one another, so I didn't give my brain a chance to forget the previous list, and so those words were still in my head when I was doing subsequent quizzes. I also only listened to the music once and then did the quiz once. What would be good if I did this experiment in the future would be to do the quiz and listen to the music multiple times and see if that had an effect. So can we definitively say that listening to rock music is the best thing for me to listen to when I study? No, I don't think we can, because we don't have enough data. You see, there's so many variables that you can play with and which can impact your performance in something like this, so it makes an experiment like this very hard to conduct. And to all those scientists out there who are conducting experiments to try and advance our understanding of the world around us, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. I also hope that I have conveyed to you how awesome science is, in that it always allows us to come up with more questions, and it's the pursuit of those questions that makes science interesting and drives us forward. That's all I have for you today. If you like this video, make sure you click the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm making videos all throughout the month of August, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Peace out.